Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk about the latest episode of The Flash entitled Family Matters Part 2. At the end of the previous episode, it seemed as though Nora, with the help of Dion, had taken out, as in killed, or at least gravely wounded, all of Team Flash except for Barry. But turns out it was fake. Just as she and Dion attacked, Psyche, I guess, broadcasted an illusion for everyone to see so that they would think they had killed everybody, but they really didn't. So, nice. He did this by accident. He didn't mean to do that, I guess, so that everybody could see it. He did it because he was trying to protect himself, but I'll take it because they didn't die. So Flash decides he's going to bring Psyche, whose name, I guess, is Bashir, and Alexa into the Speed Force, the original Speed Force, to prevent them from being found by Nora and or Dion. So they do that. While this is happening, some kind of crazy storm is affecting the city, and it breaks open the prison, the Central City prison, or the nearest prison, and a bunch of people escape, including a bunch of metas, including Frost. And she goes after that guy that menaced her in the bar, whose name I can't remember, but he's a villain from the comics. I'll have to put his name up on the screen. Because she wants to take him in. So she confronts him. And they start to physically fight before the scene cuts away. And we see that Nora has come for Barry. She looks really good. She's in like a different getup. And she looks like a super villain. And she gives them an ultimatum: bring them to me, the forces that I'm trying to kill, or I'm going to let your city continue to be torn apart, implying that she's behind it. Now, I wrote down here in my notes, why no mask on Barry? So lately on the various shows, I find that there's been a certain lack of the title hero being seen in costume. I guess it's mostly the Flash that's doing it. They had a whole episode where he wasn't in it once. And the last episode and this one, he was back in the outfit, and that's great. But in this one, most of the time he was in it, he wasn't wearing his cowl. The mask. And I want to know why that is. I mean, when you're an actor, obviously you prefer to act without a mask on, but it's just like when they do it for long periods of time and you're barely in the mask, it's kind of not good. Like they kept doing it to Captain America in the Avengers movies. Like I get that you want your face to be seen as an actor, but like you're playing a superhero, so get on board with it or don't play a superhero. And they've made Barry's mask now such that it is like a nano mask that can turn on and off and just come up and go down, I guess, by thought or by pressing a button, kind of like Supergirl's whole outfit, so that he wouldn't have to actually take it off and hold it or put it down somewhere if he wants not to wear it. And it makes it a lot more easy for them to have the actor be able to not have to wear the mask when he doesn't want to. So I don't know if Grant Gustin has been telling them, look, I can't stand wearing this mask all the time, or I'd like to wear it less. But it certainly seems that way, that they want to show his face for some reason more than the mask. And I don't like it. I want to see him in the mask. Get it right, people. Anyway, while this is going on, the storm seems to come right out and deliberately attack Cecile. And it knocks her out, almost comatose. But Caitlin is on it and she's going to try to help her. Meanwhile, Joe, of course, is beside himself. We switch back now to the Speed Force, where Psyche and Alexa and Iris are hiding out from Nora. And Psyche has been sort of sending a message, I guess subliminally somehow, I guess because that's what he does, to Alexa, saying to her, we should break out of here and go on the offensive. This being in defense mode and just sitting here waiting to be found is crazy. Let's go get this woman. Of course, Iris doesn't want them to do this, so they end up having a bit of a confrontation, but ultimately they do in fact bust out and Iris is removed from the Speed Force with them. Oh boy. I guess Dion took off after he thought he had knocked everybody out or killed everybody. So Flash is trying to find him, A, to protect him, B, to recruit him. And he finally finds him, but they argue about whether or not to kill Nora. Barry, of course, doesn't want to. Dion thinks she needs to die, and so he takes off. We flash back to the lab, and Joe is down in the dumps, obviously, and he gets a pep talk from Allegra, which is interesting. Of all the characters to give Joe a pep talk, it was her. That's kind of weird, but okay. Then we get another confrontation between Barry and Nora, and hey, he's wearing the mask. He tries to talk her down. He says that she has humanity because he has humanity, and Iris has humanity, and they quote unquote birthed her. So he says, he appeals to that humanity and says, please stop destroying the world. But she says the other forces did it. The Still Force, Psyche, Alexa. But I'm thinking it's unintentional because I don't think they're duplicitly acting to destroy the world. So I think it's just a side effect of their being or whatever. But during the scene, we see a green biplane go by, like propellers and all that. I'm like, what the hell is that? Are they hinting at Green Lantern? I don't know. Anyway, for whatever reason, when Barry saw that, he said, oh, you mean Dion? So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But anyway, that happened. We go back to Frost. She is fighting that guy, as I said, and she is just a badass. She really is. And she knocks him down, basically, and she says, chill out, which I thought was great. Then we flash back again to the lab where Joe is now talking to Barry, and he reminds Barry that he became the Flash, even though he was just a kid, basically, with Iris backing him up. And although she didn't know at the beginning, but nonetheless, that's what happened. And he also explains to him, don't forget, when you were stuck in the Speed Force, Iris stepped up and ran things and kept the city safe. So that's what family is. Family needs to be together, united. So you need to unite with these forces. And I thought that was cool and a true statement, and it makes sense. It's a little cheesy, but there you go. So they all get together and confront Nora, Alexa, Psyche, Dion, and Barry, and she spirits everyone away with herself to a different plane. And there's a massive fight between all the forces and Barry and everybody, and Nora managed to hold her own against the four of them. That's a lot of power, so it was kind of impressive. Anyway, Psyche ultimately scares her with a vision of herself being alone in the world, with no one around, and she breaks down and relents, which was really cool. And she sort of decides, okay, I'm going about things the wrong way, and she decides to act cool. So I thought that was great. Barry ends up quelling the storm by running super, super fast in some kind of cyclone or whatever. I wasn't sure what he was supposed to be doing, but he runs around a lot and quells the storm, but he wasn't really quite fast enough. So he got a boost of force energy from the three forces and was able to accomplish it. So that was cool. They were working together to get it done, kind of like Joe was talking about. So that was great. They got Nora to chill out, and then they all together, managed to quell the storms that were hurting the city. So it was really cool. Then we see a reunion scene between Frost and Caitlin, and it turns out that they allowed Frost to remain out of prison on probation since she helped round up at least one guy who broke out. And that's cool because I didn't want that character to disappear. I'm glad the character's back and that we'll see more of her. That's really cool. I like that character a lot. Before the episode ends, we get a scene of Barry and Iris contemplating having an actual child, which we know is going to happen eventually because of Nora. So during the conversation, Iris decides, you know what? I'm tired of waiting and just thinking about it. Let's go do this. And she gets up and walks out of the room. And we're assuming she's going to the bedroom. So Barry is totally on board with this, and he dashes off to the same thing, to the same place. And he says, that seems like a good impulse. Impulse, y'all. Which is actually Barry's grandchild, if I'm not mistaken, but still. So I thought that was cool. But now the show is off until June 8th. So that's kind of a bummer, but that's where things stand. That's my review. I will be back to review the next episode after it premieres on the 8th of June. Until then, my friends, peace and long life.